Hi, everyone. My name's Jordan Fragan. I'm a staff writer at GamesBeat. I'm very excited to be here today at GDC with Berkley Egenes, the Chief Marketing Officer of Xsolla, and Jen Premisler, the SVP at Mastercard for Segment and Fintech Solutions. We're here today to talk a little bit more about your partnership, and I'd love to hear more. Obviously we're at GDC. Why is Mastercard, reaching out to gamers? I'd love to hear a little bit more about your take on both the industry and just, why is Mastercard as a company so interested in reaching out to this, growing audience?
So there's a few reasons why we think that the gaming industry is important, not only for consumer gamers, but also for the businesses in the gaming industry. So if you think about our evolution as a company, we're both a B2B and B2C company. We have a big presence in traditional sports. So we extended that about 6 years ago with a sponsorship of Riot into esports. We saw that as like a natural evolution. And then as we started to learn through that relationship and also some more digging, particularly myself during COVID, watching my kids' games, seeing what the payment experience was like on the various consoles, web, tablets, we saw an opportunity to make that experience better and add more value to everyone in the ecosystem. So why Xsolla? So a year ago, we were here at GDC. We had one phone call with Xsolla and a bunch of other folks to try and figure out who was the best partner for us. We're not experts in the gaming space, but we knew that we needed someone who was really endemic to the space, that was able to link to both the businesses and the consumers. And if you kind of look across the industry, Xsolla is the one. And then to make it even better, when we met in person, we had a very lovely first meeting. The ideas were just bubbling. Like so many, we were like, we need to be in person for a few days together, which we did shortly thereafter. And we just found that the two companies just meshed. And so I think that's really important when you're looking for a partner, particularly when you don't know it that much about the space.
Absolutely. So you touched a little bit on your League of Legends partnership, and reaching fans that are esports fans. Obviously with Xsolla, you're reaching a slightly different audience. Can you talk a little bit more about the differences in those audiences?
Yeah, I mean, so traditionally esports players are the most kind of avid gamers, right? But it is a subset of the larger population. Whereas, everybody games. That's just the reality. Everybody games. Your grandmother games. They're on Wordle and, other types of games that might be more iOS kind of or mobile games. You've got people of all ages playing console and on web and et cetera. So to reach the mass audience, you really need to go beyond esports. I think they're both important. And that's why we're doing both.
Absolutely. So payments and gaming, obviously super important to the overall industry. I'd love to hear a little bit more about the pain points that we're trying to solve with this partnership.
Sure. What we're starting to see, and we continue to have conversations with our partners, it's simplicity, it's security, it's speed, ease of use of processing that transaction or making that transaction if you're a player perspective, and making it a seamless journey, part of the game, part of the brand that you're engaging with while you're playing the game. You don't want to go out to another payment platform. You don't want to go fill out another web page and fill out all your credit card information again. Keep it seamlessly integrated in there, and then have the confidence to know that that transaction is secure, it's safe, my identity's safe by putting this information in here and keeping it in your account. We continually have those conversations. How do we make it easier for developers to integrate the tools and services that we have available to provide a great experience to their players, to their gamers at the end of the day?
Absolutely. So for Mastercard, obviously, part of the reason why you guys are partnering is to help solve these pain points. What kind of gaming specific solutions are you guys working on, and what sort of ways is Mastercard helping solve some of these pain points?
Yeah, so early on, we recognized, I think, somewhere between 4 and 5 sort of high-level pain points that we could address. One is sort of to Berkley's point, one is about the ability to pay any way that you want. Right. So lots of choice. That was one. And that's what we've already announced working together, which is embedding Mastercard's Pay with Points solution into Xsolla's capability and making it available to every game on Xsolla's platform, and therefore every gamer that uses those games. And given how many games they touch, that's a lot of gamers that will have access to use those points, to buy in-game items and in-game currency. Some of the other pain points that we are addressing are things around how do you ensure that there's controls for parent and children, not only for content, but also for that payment. So you don't end up with a $35,000 bill on your card or whatever because, your kid just kept clicking. Sometimes they know they're clicking, sometimes they don't realize. And I've had that happen in my house plenty of times. And then there's other innovative things that we can do that we have not even really worked on to the extent of solving for yet, but I think it's in our future as a partnership, which is what does Web3 payment look like for Web3 games? I think there's assumptions being made of what that has to look like because of the technology that Web3 runs on. I'm not sure that's true. And then there's also things, Mastercard has a lot of identity solutions as well. So, if you think about what Mastercard does, we're obviously involved in the transaction. We provide cyber fraud and intelligence capabilities. And then our other sweet spot is loyalty and data services. And so all of those things can be leveraged in the gaming space to make this partnership really possible.
Amazing. So this partnership, obviously, it's a long-term partnership for both of you. What are some of your goals with the partnership long-term? How are you measuring success?
We're going to measure success in the number of games that we're able to integrate our technologies in together. It's the simple way that we're going about it. And we want to be able to offer this opportunity from a MasterCard and the loyalty pay with points to any of the games around the world that process transactions and credit cards. Make it a simple mechanism and a simple process to go into it. So if you're a player and you want to top up your account, or there's a special bundle pack that you want to buy or a subscription you want to do, when you go through the checkout process, you're going to simply click credit card, and then your account's already there set up with the bank information and the points values that are there, and make that simple decision. One of the things that we're looking at is this is going to revolutionize how players pay and play their games, because you're able to see it. It was on a microtransaction level to see, this would take 100 points, which is kind of a no-brainer when you're thinking about it and making that purchase, versus where it takes 25, 40, 60,000 on a flight or for a hotel room. And to be able to bring it down to a smaller level from a consumption perspective. And then as we're both parents and we look at it as hey, one of our son or daughter had a great report card, and you could say, hey, here's 100 points that you can go use for your favorite game, and go use that as a transaction process, and to let them make some choice. And it's a big reward for them because they think about it and go, okay, there's some value in their head. It's somewhere between $50 and $100 value that I'm receiving for this as a child, because they know what it costs. They understand for the most part, but we're able to manage that, control it, and provide that activation. So if we can grow this, it's not just a US play, it's a global play that we want to offer, because we're seeing that over 50% of all transactions made in gaming is through a credit card. And we're in thousands of games, servicing millions of players around the world. And to have this opportunity and the scale with a partner like MasterCard, that will be success for us.
Yeah, and I'd add that, if you think about, or if you look at some of the metrics for when you're using points,
Right,
what that does to the consumer and their choice. So consumers who use points are 3 times more likely to purchase. So that in and of itself is helping our publishers, get more stuff through the game. Then if you pay with points, you're generally likely to spend about 27 to 28% more in that one basket. So we're increasing basket size. We're making it easier for people to kind of be willing to pay, right?
Right.
And buy in-game items. I mean, we say all the time, we joke around, it's like free money.
Right.
Obviously it's not, it's a loyalty program, but it's, you're getting a real benefit. And when we can give it to our kids, I mean, think about all the things that you buy for your children, right? Why would you not use points for that?
100%.
Absolutely. So talking a little bit more about the Pay with Points program, we're talking about a global scale.
Right.
What sort of, I don't know if there are differences in different markets or, within the research, are you targeting us, like, what sort of demographics do you think this program will help most?
I think one of the thing too, it's equality. So anybody who has a credit card and has a Mastercard has the ability to do this and to be able to make that purchase using their credit card as we go forward. It's we believe in ourselves to enjoy the game, and we want to democratize gaming around the world and provide this. This is another way to go do that, and to be able to offer this. No matter where you are in the world, you could be a gamer in Atlanta, Georgia. You could be somebody in Berlin. You could be in South America, Southeast Asia. It doesn't matter. As long as a Mastercard is available for you and your bank subscribes to the program, then we're able to do that and enable that to do it. And the developers, the conversations we're having with the developers, and we talk about the quote free money aspect of it. They're like, we couldn't do this before. I'm like, no, you couldn't. It wasn't available because of the technology and making that happen. And it needed a strong partner like Mastercard to come in to support it and have the mechanism, the global reach that Mastercard has, and aligned with our goals as well. So it made a ton of sense, and we're going to see a lot of success.
And so this platform that we're leveraging to do this with Xsolla has been in existence and running and in market for a long time. And we're in many, many markets, most of Mastercard's markets, which, we have access to like pretty much every country unless it's, off limits. So if you think about how it could scale, right? That's how big the demographic can be. I don't think age is a issue here, because usually you talk about demographics partly in terms of age, but here there's a parent-child relationship. So even if a kid doesn't have a card, so likely wouldn't, you're able to give it as the parent. And I think that that's the really cool part.
So it seems, again, you guys have touched on being parents and how that's been such a big focus for you guys. With this program, I don't know if there are specific games that you think that are going to be able to use this best, or, obviously the point values are so low. So it talks about microtransactions. Do you think that this is mostly targeted for free-to-play games, or do you think that there's opportunities for larger purchases? Like, I don't know if there's any thought about integrating where you can actually buy full games with points.
It's all of the above.
Yeah.
Like, it's really, microtransactions, and from your top up your player accounts, you want more virtual items or virtual currencies. That's pretty, simple, and it's a smaller transaction. But if you're doing a bundle pack and it's $125 and you get the game, you get gems, you get currencies, to have that flexibility to scale up and down. So everything from, like, say $1 in theory, all the way up to $200 if you're buying a super pack within a game. To be able to do that, it'll work for free to play, it'll work for MMOs, it'll work for play to earn, it'll work for all the different genres. That's the other thing, not only the demographics of people, but it's not discriminatory against the different game types and genres that we're going to have. And we're having a lot more conversation. We had at multiple events leading up to GDC, and people are lining up and they want to be the first, second, third game that's going to be out there to be able to offer that and have that as a new incentive to do that, because they're going to see larger transactions, you're going to see more frequent transactions. We talk about user acquisition and incrementality all the time on mobile from a perspective, but to be able to come in on a web shop and then make that purchase using points to top up your account and then drive back to the mobile device to play the game is a perfect connection and synergy that we're going to see, particularly on the mobile side of things.
Awesome. When it comes to, you've talked a little bit about loyalty programs and really leveraging this. Do you think that there are opportunities to work with individual publishers and, really expand on that loyalty program? I don't know if it's going to be game specific or if there's any opportunities, I can see why publishers would love to have this, but, are there opportunities to expand on that kind of a partnership?
Yeah, I think there is. We do a lot of things in the loyalty space at Mastercard traditionally. So there's lots of things we can do. I think one of the things we want to do in this partnership and rolling this specific thing out is to make it democratized, to give access to every game, every gamer, because there's no reason why any one publisher shouldn't have access. that said, there are opportunities for us if there's something innovative that a publisher wants to do around loyalty. Together, we can do that.
When it comes to spending the loyalty points, I don't know if you've thought about like is there a conversion rate or if it's going to be game specific. I'd be curious to hear more about, are you guys going to have a flat rate across the board, or is it going to be more tied into specific games?
Yeah, so this is one of those that is, it's flexibly built, so there's a lot of options. However, there's more parties than just us who make those decisions, right? The publisher needs to make the decision partially on what the value of their items are, right? Because points are not usually a one-to-one conversion, dollar to dollar. And then the issuer, the Mastercard banking partner, has to also make some decisions. So, but we have the systems down in place because we've been doing this for years in airline and other industries where, we have an idea of what will work. And the publishers are going to have an idea of what they want, and Xsolla will understand that. And so together we can bring those parties together. So none of these ecosystems happen in a vacuum or through one party. And that's the other reason these two companies, I think, make a lot of sense. We're both connectors, right? And so in a similar space, but synergistic space. And we also really understand consumers, and we really understand businesses, them in the gaming space, us broadly. And so when we come together and we can bring all of those parties from an ecosystem that might not normally talk to each other, we can figure out what the right levels will be. I'm sure we'll have floors. I'm sure we'll have ceilings, and there's going to be a lot of options in between.
Gotta make some deals. The scale of this partnership is massive. I'm sure there have been some technical challenges that have come up. What sort of problems have you had in implementing this, and how did you solve them?
We're still in the process of doing that with many of the groups. We like to call it's coming to a theater near you as we go forward, and we're addressing and it's case by case. It's our great integration teams between the two organizations and working with the developers that we come into it. We're going to have use cases that are different for each one. Somebody may be like, hey, we want our physical goods in there as well. And we want to do a bonus pack. If you use your points, then you get a hoodie, you get a beanie, you get something else from our branded merch perspective, because that brand experience, to be able to be an advocate, and you're walking down the street and see, somebody wearing your gear, and then they're self-promoting the game. Those are other things that we're exploring and looking at, to where one partner may want that, another may not. Another may just only want to do subscriptions with points. Another one may just want to do, in-game currencies and virtual goods, and that's it. So we're gonna have, as Jim was talking about, it's gonna go up and down and left, right, everything in between. That the options are limitless of what we can do with this opportunity.
Yeah. You talked a little bit about Web3 and some of the opportunities there. I'd love to touch on that a little bit more and discuss, what sort of solutions you may be thinking about, or what games you may be thinking about. How can you problem solve for these games?
Yeah, so I think where we are now on that, so Mastercard as a company, we have a few things that we're doing. So we have had a blockchain team for quite some time, many years. We've had a crypto team for a while as well, and we've had a number of crypto-related announcements over the last 2 or so years. And we also do some work in the metaverse. You'll see announcements from us. And it's really about shaping the thought leadership for the metaverse. It's really about trying to make sure that and I hate saying the metaverse, because I personally, it's not a Mastercard thing. I personally do not think it's going to be one metaverse. I think it's going to be several or many that kind of are interoperable. We had a conversation with the founder of Xsolla yesterday, 2 days ago, whatever it was. And we were having a discussion with payments experts around the table about what should that look like? And does it have to be blockchain just because Web3 is leveraging blockchain? Maybe. What's the on-ramp? What's the off-ramp? How do we do identity in a safe way, in an unbiased way? I think something that's really important and sort of ingrained in MasterCard blood is, we do things, we do well and we do good, right? And those two things need to be connected.
Right.
And so making sure that the metaverse or Web3 and how we're entering that, it has to make sense from that perspective. And I think to the point of how we're working together, it's really just exchanging ideas and bouncing things off of each other. Not everything each company does in Web3 is probably going to be done together. That's,
For sure.
we're not merging.
Right.
So it's more about how do we learn from each other? How do we do things where it makes sense to do them together? We should, but where it doesn't, we'll just learn from each other and, be there to support and mentor.
Excellent. So you, again, doing good. We talked a little bit off camera about the growth of women in gaming and how important it is that more people are entering the space and making sure that the space is accessible to everyone. I don't know if this partnership has, just if you guys have thought more about, how you can continue to democratize on that level, or, I'd love to hear more about some of those initiatives if there are any. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, like many things we do at Mastercard, we look to elevate voices that are not always elevated. It's just part of our DNA. And so women in sports is something that we've done a lot. We have a program called Bell Block, where we've brought together women in blockchain, women in crypto, and really just given them a safe space to talk, to network, to learn. And I think there will be opportunities for Xsolla and Mastercard to work on these things together as well. We have not charted anything specific, but we have talked about it. I think, again, like that's where the DNA of the two companies really do match. As I look around of like who was present at GDC for Mastercard and who is present at GDC for Xsolla, I'm proud of both companies. We're probably at about a 50-50 split on both sides. My team actually, who's here, leans more female or women, and it's quite diverse in lots of ways. And I mean, that's really what it's all about. If we both have the same ethos, we'll get to the right place.
And that's one of the things that we've talked a lot about over the course of this partnership coming together is having the aligned ideals, the aligned vision, what you believe in at your core, from a diversity, from a diversifying and equality in the space. It starts with our teams. It starts with our organizations. And then we're committed to that. And we're going to be doing more and more into partnerships that we're looking at, from sponsoring different events and activities that promote everybody. And to have equality across the board is very, very important. And we can and will continue to do better.
Amazing. So again, talking about that shared ethos,
Sure.
I'd love to hear more about this partnership and how you guys are looking into the future. I know you have some things in the works that we can't really touch on too specifically, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about, what some of your focuses are for, the next steps in this partnership.
Yeah, there's a long whiteboard, I would say, of ideas that we're working on together, but it's all about security, safety, speed, simplification of the process and everything that we're looking at, from everything as two parents that we talk about all the time and our experience with our kids playing games. And then how do you apply that to everybody else and what you're seeing and what we're seeing in Asia, what we're seeing in North America, what we're seeing in Europe, MIA. We're going to be in lots of markets this year, individually as companies, but like, where is that going to go? We're going to solve those challenges together. We're very challenge or problem focused. Like if there's a problem that needs to be addressed, then we're going to come together and make that happen.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. This was great. And, thank you again for joining us. If you aren't here in person, and it was great to have a chance to chat with you both about this partnership.
Thank you so much, Jordan.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate you.